Hi, this is Braden Holtby.
Hey, this is Tanner the Bulldozer Bozer.
Hi, this is Brian Burke from Toronto, Ontario.
This is Daryl Sutter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carly Agro from Sportsnet Central.
This is Jay Onright.
This is Quick Dick coming to you from Tofnell, Saskatchewan.
Hey, everybody. My name is Theo Fleury.
This is Kelly Rudy.
This is Corey Cross.
This is Wade Redden.
This is Jordan Tutu.
My name is Jim Pattison.
Hey, it's Ron McLean, Hockey Night in Canada and Rogers Hometown Hockey, and welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Now, let's get on to that T-Bar 1 Tale of the Tape. Born in Edmonton, Alberta, at age 12 his family moved him to Tsawwassen, British Columbia. He spent 4 seasons in the WHL playing for the Vancouver Giants, where he currently holds the franchise record for all-time points. In 2010, he was drafted in the 5th round, 147th overall by the Montreal Canadiens. Over 8 seasons with the Canadiens, he has played 547 games with 173 goals, 161 assists for a total of 334 points. In October, he signed a 6-year deal, keeping him with the Canadiens. I'm talking about Brendan Gallagher. The table's been set. On to the main course.
This is Brendan Gallagher. Welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast. Today I'm joined by Brendan Gallagher, Montreal Canadiens forward. So first off, man, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you live with a friend, Ty Smith. He's been on the podcast. And on said podcast, he may have talked a little smack about you. Supposedly, he dominated you in a game of Madden and you walked away. In saying that, I just watched a video of you absolutely dominating him in ping pong. So I don't know if that was his way of getting back or not, but I figure maybe we could start with a common friend, a guy from Lloydminster, Mr. Ty Smith, and I believe he's still living with you.
He is. First off, he's delusional. He doesn't get to win a lot around here. We make it hard on him, but I enjoy having him around. Obviously a really talented hockey player, but he's a good kid. He shows up, he works hard. So he's nice to have around the gym, kind of pushes us, but we definitely have some fun around here, for sure, competing around the house. And I make sure I don't let him win. And if I'm going to lose, I cheat. So not allowed.
Well, in listening to a bit of your story, that not letting you win, that stems from childhood by the sounds of it. Winning, you had to earn it.
That's pretty much the way I was brought up. I don't know what it is. Just hated losing. My dad made sure from a young age that winning didn't come easily, and the competitive nature of me is probably where I am, or why I am where I am today. I just don't really enjoy losing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Obviously there's hockey, but little friendly games of golf. My buddies will tell you I'm a bit of a poor loser, but it's just part of who I am that I can't really change. And there's the good and there's definitely the bad that I've had to deal with and make some apologies for sure.
Well, I got 3 young kids and the wife and I, she's a volleyball player, and so we can get playing the most random made up game and it can get competitive. So I get the competitive edge you got. What was the last random thing you got competitive about that isn't, a game of hockey, a game of ping pong? I'm assuming you've made up some funny games and had a little bit of side wager on it maybe, or a little friendly banter.
Yeah. I mean, I get competitive all the time, but the most recent was, a couple hours ago in the gym with Ty, a little warm up, a silly little agility warm up. And I looked down over at him and I could see he was trying to beat me. So I made sure that I tried to go quicker, and wasn't the point of the drill. But there was definitely some yelling and some back and forth between the two of us. And I might've cheated at the end to make sure he didn't beat me, but I made sure he wasn't able to say he lost me.
I assume that's the fun part of training in a group, because everybody's going to push everybody.
That's the best part. And, honestly, I don't think you'd be able to get to where you need to be if you didn't have the guys around you pushing you. It doesn't matter who you're with. You need competitive, that competitive environment that we're all so used to and that we kind of feed off of. So I think that's, that training group in the summer is so important for me. It's the same group of guys that you come back to. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have a way to just push yourself to get that much better, which, when you're competing against, there's only, I believe, 575 jobs in the National Hockey League that everyone's competing for. Again, so it should keep going. I don't know what the hell.
Let's keep going. Here's what I'm curious about. I apologize to all the listeners for the big dinging in the ear. That is Brendan Gallagher's fault. We're going to blame it on him.
It's me.
On the training group side, like I know your dad is your guys' trainer. Have you ever been approached to go to a different training group, or have you tried to like solicit guys, hey, come train with me for the summer? Like, I'm always curious, like how your training group kind of gets set up, right? Like Ty's told me that he trains with yourself, and Milan Lucic has been a big name in that group. Like, is there other guys out there that you're like, yeah, why don't you come with us? Or how does that all stack up?
A lot of the time, originally, I guess it started for me personally with my group was my buddies that I played with in Bantam and Pee Wee hockey. My dad was around and he was the trainer. So these guys would come with me in the summer and you'd start training. Then he started training the Giants players, where he was doing that junior hockey stuff for a while. But when we got old enough to start working out with them, you join groups, and once you get to the junior level, you start training with those older juniors, and you always had those guys to look at, and that's where you wanted to be. That was the goal to get to, and that was who was pushing you. And then you just kind of keep expanding it. Guys play with people. Guys are always looking for training options, ways to improve. And, we've always been pretty confident in the group that we've had. The guys always feel like we're pushing each other. So what if, I don't know, let's go pie in the sky. I know you're let's say Connor McDavid called you tomorrow, said, hey, why don't you come train with me for the summer? Would you go? Or would it be like, no, my allegiance is to this group, and Connor, why don't you come train over here? I mean, for me, it'd be an easy no, because I'm with my dad, who understands me better than anyone, really. He understands what I need to do to get better. And, I've had a strict summer routine that I've kind of stuck to, and I've seen the results. So I wouldn't change that. Everyone's a little bit different, though. Obviously, you want to be around the best and you want to push yourself. Would I go spend a week with them? Sure. You're always open, and I do that. I head up to Kelowna every once in a while, and I live with Josh Georges. Webbs is in that group, so I'll go spend a week there. See what they're doing. Maybe you take some stuff back to your group if you feel like it works. But for me, I'm not looking to change it, because I've just had success with it, and there's no point in looking for answers with something that you've had success with.
Well, let's go hypothetical then. What if a different sport came a calling? I know you're a big football guy. I know you're a Muhammad Ali guy. What if a different sport came a knocking and said, hey, we want you to come cross train with us for a week? Where would you want to go?
Like what sport would I play?
Yeah.
See, I love ball. I always played ball when I was younger, and I actually probably liked it more than hockey. I just
baseball. You like baseball better?
I just wasn't as good at it. I really enjoyed playing ball. I still play in slow pitch leagues here in the summer, but I never played football. Love watching football, but playing wise, I always had the most fun playing baseball. It was just a relaxing game for me. I played lacrosse as well, which was more physically demanding. But for me, baseball was just a sport that I could just kind of relax, and there's no real pressure because it wasn't any good, but you just kind of go out there and play. So that's a game that I kind of, when I'm playing, I probably enjoy it the most.
You bring up baseball. You mentioned you enjoy watching football. What is it about the Cincinnati Bengals, and how on earth did you ever become a Cincy fan?
So I'd be lying if I said I don't regret it, but I guess I'm too loyal to my teams that I choose, and I'm winning it now. I've ran my mouth too much. I can't change. But it was Chad Johnson when I was, I don't know how old I would have been. Say I was, 13, 14 years old. Chad Johnson, I thought he was the best. I enjoyed watching his touchdown celebrations.
Back when the touchdown celebration was still a thing.
it was a thing, and it was entertaining. It made you watch. I mean, he'd put on the Hall of Fame jacket. He'd be grabbing the camera in the stands. It was just entertaining, and it's kind of everything that I'm not. So it was stuff that I would never do, but I thought it was funny. So I kind of just became a fan. They're a bit of an underdog story, which I always cheer for. And I just kind of stuck with them. Carson Palmer. They had some good teams.
They could just never put it together.
I mean, I haven't even seen a playoff win. So, and they went into these things as the favorite. They just they're playing Houston at home. Houston's got no quarterback.
Well, what are they right now? 2-5-1?
2-5 yeah.
I think they got a tie in there. Didn't they tie the Eagles? I want to
tie the Eagles, which is really sad because my older sister is an Eagle fan, and we watched that game together. And there was only one way for us to both feel like losers, and our teams found it.
You got you're screwed this week. They play the Steelers, and the Steelers are going to manhandle you. Like, they're a juggernaut.
No,
a juggernaut.
There's one team that Cincinnati hates more than any other team, and it's the Steelers. And it goes back. The worst loss I've ever experienced as a fan was that wild card weekend where the Bengals were up. Like, it was like 2 scores. They had the ball. There was like 4 minutes to go in the game. They somehow screwed that one up. Never felt more disappointed in a team. And I've been waiting for the perfect moment for them to just stick it. They can't beat them. And I think it might be this week. I think Joe Burrow might find a way to just bring some joy to us fans.
I hope for your sake, you're right. I don't love to bring up the Edmonton Oilers too. I don't love to point them in a bad light, because what they got going on right now is really cool. We got some of the best players in the league on our team. But I mean, any hockey man knows we went through the decade of darkness, and being from Lloydminster, diehard Oiler fan. So I know what cheering for a team that doesn't get you a whole lot of wins can feel like.
I'm an Oiler fan too. So,
well, that's what I was going to ask. You were born in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So you grew up being an Oilers fan?
Grew up being an Oiler fan. Had all the jerseys. I remember waiting outside. They always practiced down at Millennium Place in Sherwood Park there, which is right where I was from. So I remember I got all those. Every jersey I got, pretty easy to get them signed by the guys right before they head off to practice. So I got a bunch of those in the closet. But I never really saw the good years. I saw them lose to Dallas a lot in the playoffs. I think the one year we finally beat Dallas when Marchand scored, I think it was followed by they lost to Colorado.
A trouncing to Colorado.
That was very quick. So short-lived.
But those teams, those Oilers teams that played against Dallas, man, were they grit. They were like blue collar. You couldn't help but cheer for that team.
And I actually got the chance to talk to Ken Hitchcock about it, who was coaching Dallas, obviously. And they said it took a toll on their teams, because every year they knew they had to play the Oilers, and when they played them, it was physical. And now that I know, when you go through these playoff series, it takes a toll on you. You don't really recover from it. So they might have beat the Oil, but the Oil they left
beat them up. Yeah,
they were tough. They were tough.
Speaking of the playoffs, I mean, you guys lost to Philly, and you get the old cross check to the face, which became like the biggest thing on the internet. How was playing in the bubble, first off?
Different. It was a strain. I remember the first, we had one exhibition game, played the Leafs, but for some reason we're getting dressed in the Leafs room. They're in the road room. We're in their rink. There's no fans. You step on the ice. There's no music or anything playing. It just felt strange. The first exhibition game, because in your head, you're telling yourself you're getting ready to play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And meanwhile, like training camp atmospheres were more intense, and it just felt strange. They kind of got it going a little bit. They started putting in a little bit of fake noise, so it kind of felt a little bit real, but it's just different. Your off days, you just spend in the hotel. You're not allowed to really do anything or go anywhere. So you're not able to really clear your mind. It's just a lot of hockey, which, isn't for a lot of some guys love it. For me personally, I kind of enjoy, when you're at the rink, it's all hockey all the time. I kind of enjoy that day to kind of relax and get away from it a bit. So it was just a different experience. It's really the only way I can explain it.
Well, and I think, I don't want to tote on Montreal too much. I know you're a longtime Canadian, but they have some of the richest history in hockey. And their fans, their stadium, their building, everything about them, how they do things is just from a guy in a different Canadian market. You watch it, and you're like, that's kind of cool, right? Like that's kind of cool. So when it gets to playoffs, that place, I mean, any building's rocking, but some buildings just look like that looks like fun.
And that's probably it. I'm probably a little bit spoiled. I don't think there's any experience you're going to get in the National Hockey League like a playoff game in Montreal. There's just something about it. The dressing room where we sit, when you're sitting there 10 minutes before, they do such a good job of getting the crowd engaged. You can hear the crowd in the room before you go on the ice. The feeling you have stepping on the ice, it's you just can't really compare that experience to anything else. And playing in the playoffs is great. But for the guys that didn't get to experience what it's like to play at the Bell Center, I hope they get that.
There's the ding again, folks.
They'll come back.
They're talking like, and you're up to date on this, I'm sure, but they're starting to talk like maybe there'd be an all Canadian division, like Canucks, Flames, Oilers, Jets, Sens, Leafs, Canadiens in a division. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it'd be really cool for Canadian hockey fans. For me personally, I'm a Western boy, so we only get to come out there once a year if we were in the division. You just get to play these teams that you really grew up watching, and you probably won't, family and friends probably won't be able to come, but it's just coming back to these cities is always special. We have a lot of Western guys on our team that enjoy it one time a year, but if you get to do it a couple times, I think it'd be for us as players, we'd enjoy it. Probably a little bit more travel involved, but I think it's just something different for Canadian hockey fans. I think it just feels like something that'd be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, seven Canadian teams in a division. Man, the media wouldn't be able to handle that, man. Like, just think of all the headlines and fans going at it. Like, it'd be epic. I mean, when the Flames, when the Flames and the Oilers play each other, the province almost explodes. And this year, the fact they almost played each other in the playoffs, it almost exploded. Now you get it going across the entire country. I mean, the more times Montreal comes here, for instance, and I'm just not a Montreal fan. I'm sorry, Brendan, but I'm just not a Montreal fan. But that's good. That's good. That evokes more out of me than having, I'll beat on the Florida Panthers for 2 secs, having them come this way, or maybe somebody in division like Arizona Coyotes, right?
I mean, every game would just be exciting. I think there'd be a storyline there. There just seems to be a little bit more excitement anytime Canadian teams play, and I think it's probably, the passion of the fans that bring it out. And although they probably won't be able to attend the games, which again, be a little bit strange, I think you'd probably still feel it a little bit, and it would just add to the meaning of the game.
How odd is it not to be playing right now? Like, by now, you guys would be like, we're coming up on American Thanksgiving. Anyone who follows NHL, all they talk about is American Thanksgiving and being in the playoff hunt and in a playoff spot, blah, blah, blah. Like, how odd is it to not be playing hockey right now?
It's really strange. And the longer it goes and the colder it gets, there's not a lot to do. We go, we get our training in, we skate, and then you just kind of sit around. You just think like, you should be playing in front of 18,000 screaming fans every night. Instead, you're sitting at home trying to find something to do, find a movie on. It's different. I know everyone in the world is kind of, their lives have been changed, but for us, we're definitely a part of that, where it's just a different routine that we're used to right now. Well,
you get accustomed to being, training through the summer. It hits where we're at, and you're in full-fledged hockey season, right? You're busy, you're on the road, even when the cup gets presented. That was weird for hockey fans. I'm sure it was weird for you guys being in the bubble, trying to like stay with it as things go on. Like, this whole timeline thing really probably makes you appreciate when things are going normal, how the normal can kind of get mundane at times, right? Like, you're kind of in the games. Man, don't we want to get back to that?
Yeah, you take it for granted. I mean, we had it pretty good. And now that's taken away, obviously. Everyone's just hoping to get back to it at some point here. I'm hopeful, hopefully it won't be too long of this, but it's just a routine that you got to get used to. I mean, nobody enjoys training. You do it because you have to. You do it because everyone else is doing it. And if you're not getting better. But playing the games is why we do it. And that's what you want to be doing. And obviously it's most likely you're probably looking at a shortened season at some point here. So it's, it's just different, and you just kind of want to get back on the ice and doing the one thing that, we're half decent at.
You ever think, because you're going into your 9th season, right?
Yeah.
And in your first 8, you've already had a league shortened season, a COVID season, or a COVID Stanley Cup Finals, and now you're going to go into this. Like, you're in your stretch of your career, you've seen some oddball things come at you.
Strange, yeah. I mean, the shortened season was. I was one of the few people that helped. I was so I was playing in Hamilton. Probably would have started the year there regardless. Montreal was coming off a season where they weren't very good, so they had to make some changes. Obviously, they drafted Galchenyuk that year. He was going to be on the team. But I got a chance to go play 30-something games in the American League and kind of just get used to the systems first of all, but show how I could be useful. And, I mean, you'd have to ask Burge this, but I have a hard time believing they had me penciled into a spot on that team, but I was able to kind of go down there and, be a good player. Someone was watching, obviously they liked what they saw, and they figured, I'd be useful up in Montreal. So that was kind of like a extended tryout for me. And then when the season started, I had been playing for half a season. So these NHLers were kind of getting started. I was mid-season form. You're able to get off to a good start and kind of, showcase yourself a little bit better. So that one I was fortunate of. Brings different opportunities. This COVID one, I'll find the positive eventually, but I haven't quite found it.
You're a guy who's had to fight for everything along the way, and you bring a tenacity to the game. Like, you really get into it with the opposing team. Is that something that your upbringing instilled, or did you find that somewhere along the way? Or have you always been that guy who's a burr in the saddle, so to speak?
I've always kind of had to have it. Even going back to like midget teams, junior teams, if I didn't have that, I wasn't going to play. I kind of had to have that little extra edge to my game. Now, there's times where, I'm an established player. I probably don't have to do it as much, but it makes me better. So I enjoy doing it. There's some games where you just don't feel great or you don't have it. There's other ways to contribute other than the score sheet. And for me, it kind of gets me engaged when I'm able to, start competing with one player and you find your individual battle on the ice or in a game. That's kind of able to, it jumpstarts my game a little bit sometimes. So sometimes it just comes naturally to you, and that's probably the situation most times. But there's times where, second period, you're sitting on the bench and you just really feel like you haven't done much. Kind of helps you get engaged and have a little bit more of an impact on the game.
Do you have a guy on the opposing team you're like, yeah, I could probably go hit that guy tonight, and let's get this fired up?
Well, I mean, now, but he retired. It would have been Niskanen, but he decided to retire, so I'm not going to get that chance. There's usually guys. I mean, I could go through every single team. There's probably one or two guys on every single team that I just kind of know at some point. Usually D-man, you're just going to meet in front of the net, and you just kind of, it kind of sparks it. But there's a few guys around the league.
Would PK be one of those D-men?
He's definitely one. He actually, the first couple times we played, he would get engaged with me a little bit more. But it always seemed to, I think he's not dumb. I think he kind of understood that it was kind of helping me. It wasn't working out that well for him. So now he kind of tries to stay away. So that's one that I kind of have to force. But he tries to stay away from it a little bit more now. But definitely, he's a guy I know well. So there's a little bit of the battle there, and we've had our moments, but I think it's kind of calmed down recently.
I as a fan, I know some of the rules that they're putting out are good and bad for the game, whatever you want to call it. But when you guys get, you're a fan. It doesn't matter if you're watching football, basketball, baseball. When there's a little animosity on the ice and you can see it, you can almost feel it. That's fun to watch. That's what I enjoy about your game. Your game is built off that. Like, your emotion is on your shoulder every single night, or most every single night. It's hard to do for as many games as you guys play. That's fun to watch. And when you get into it with guys, man, that draws all the viewers in, because when it's vanilla, it's, we've all sat through those games.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it is just natural. It's not premeditated. It just kind of comes with the way I have to play. And I understand the other side of it too. For me, I have to be around the front of the net to be successful. D-man, they got to keep me away from there. It's part of the job. And when you do that, there's, you're going to have your moments throughout the game. So there's, you never really lose the respect that you have for the other guys, but there's definitely some heated moments that happen on the ice that, they control the game. So the biggest thing with me was, staying out of the box. Obviously, there's a way to do it, but you got to find the fine line and how far you can push it. And that was probably the thing that I had to learn. And I feel like I'm, decent at now is, you're able to play that certain style of hockey, but you're not sitting in the box and hurting your team as well.
Since the season's been done, Montreal has been active. Lots of different moves. Obviously, Domi going to Columbus and Anderson coming back and Toffoli and you locking it up for an extended period again here. Signing of Allen, Edmondson. I can go on. You guys have done a lot. Is that something, it felt like you guys, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but it felt like watching you guys play, you had a good group and it felt like you were pretty tight knit, so to speak. When you have that much changeover, is that something you get excited for? Because you got some good players coming in. You lose, a guy going on the outside, Domi going the other way sucks. And I'm sure you have your thoughts on that. But is that something that looking into this season, you're like, man, we brought in some guys. Maybe there's an opportunity, or is it a little bit of mixed emotions?
You're always excited when you improve your team, and then I don't think anyone would argue that we haven't. Obviously Domes, he was a big part of our team. He was there for 2 years. Obviously the first year probably went better than the second year, but regardless, he had a positive impact on a group. But when you look at it as a whole, I don't think there's any denying that Birch was able to go out. He was able to identify needs that our team needed. He was able to improve them. Got a little bit of everything. Got a backup goalie for Pricey. We got some size. We got some scoring. Got some defenders. We have, you just add it everywhere. So it's going to make you better. It's going to add competition throughout the lineup. Everyone's going to have to push a little bit more harder for ice time, but having too many good players is never a problem. So I think, as a group, I think everyone is obviously really optimistic and excited heading into the year.
How excited are you to be, in today's world, it doesn't feel like too many guys stay with the same team for a really extended period of time. You're going to be, assuming you stick out the length of your contract, 14 years with the Canadiens, that's a pretty good stretch.
It's exciting, especially with the Montreal Canadiens. You can look any day, you look around the locker room, you see all the retired Hall of Famers, the jerseys. It's, the history there, you can't compare it to anything else. So, it's, I'm very fortunate. I'm just really fortunate to be given that opportunity to begin with, and to continue to be trusted by the organization is something that you don't take lightly. I know what it means to be a Montreal Canadian. I know what it means to the fan base. And for me to sit here and say that I potentially could finish my career in one place is, it means a lot as a player. So when you're going through those negotiations, which were a little bit heated at times, I think that was definitely, one of the most important thoughts that crossed your mind.
When you look around the Montreal dressing room and you see all the legends, if you could pull a name or two off there to just suit them up in their prime, who would you grab off there?
Oh, so probably the most emotional game I ever played as Montreal Canadian, not because of anything I did, was when Jean Beliveau passed away. We were actually on a road trip in Minnesota at the time. We played terrible. We got smoked, and it was the day he passed away. And I remember how much heat we took as a team for not playing better for Jean Beliveau. And we were able to come back home. They had the funeral proceedings, which we were a part of. And you just saw how much this man meant to every single person in Quebec. It was unbelievable the support he had. When you got people to talk about Jean Beliveau, the respect they had for that man was unbelievable. And after we went through, I think it was 3 or 4 days of kind of funeral proceedings, we had that much of a layoff before our next game against Vancouver. the next game, I've never felt more pressure to win a hockey game in my life. I felt like we had to do this for him, but for everyone who was ever a Montreal Canadian fan. I remember Plecky actually scored late in that game. We beat the Canucks, and it was like a relief. You could tell the fans, you could tell how much it meant for them that we were able to just play a good game to honor him. And the impact that he had on so many people, I'll never forget that. It was, as a player, it was pretty unbelievable.
It is pretty cool to think that a guy like Beliveau could be beloved that much.
It was incredible. I mean, because you hear them talk about, they have so many legends, and you hear them talk about everyone. Obviously, they love, like, they love them all. But I've never heard any player garner the respect from every single person that John Beliveau had, and that's really what he was about. Obviously, he was the captain of the team, won a gazillion Stanley Cups, but I think what people remember about him is the respect that that he not only had for everyone else, but the respect everyone showed him, regardless if you're on his team or playing against him.
Well, I don't want to hold you for too much longer, so we'll go into the Crude Master Final Five. Just 5 quick questions, and then I'll let you get on with your day. I always like to start off with, if you could sit down with one guy like I'm doing. This is a treat for me, I guess. I get to sit down with guys that I admire. If you could hop on, take a beer over to whoever you want or whatever drink of your choice, and sit down with one guy and pick their brain, who would you want to take? Current or past?
Honestly, I'm probably taking Tiger Woods. I think he's been through so much. I think he could offer advice, good and bad, that he went through. I think his competitive nature, I don't know if you can find that in a lot of athletes, and he just deals with something. He's out there on the golf course alone. His mental, what he has to deal with, and what he had to go through to get to where he was, and then how long he stayed at the top, and to go drop down, get back there where he is now. I think, I'm just astonished by everything about him. It'd be pretty cool to sit down, have a beer with him, and just pick his brain.
You talk about competitive nature. The other guy that comes to mind is Michael Jordan. Please tell me you've watched The Last Dance.
Unbelievable. And I get a kick out of the clip just came up the other day. This guy got motivated by everything, but
everything.
Coach of the other team doesn't shake his hand. He's like, that was all I needed. Put 60 on him. It's just, there were like little jokes going around. The Starbucks barista served the other guy first. That was all I needed to drop 40 on Portland that night. It was this guy just looked for little things and he used it, and it clearly worked.
I know you're a guy who collects things, and you've said you collect odd things. What is the oddest thing you've either collected recently or all time?
Oddest things. I have a jersey signed by the Hanson brothers to me, and they wrote "putting on the foil." I think that's pretty cool. There's probably not a lot of people that have it. Strange. I don't know if it's worth anything, but pretty cool.
But to any hockey fan, they get it. I mean, yeah. Or a hockey player for that matter. How many times did you watch Slapshot on the bus?
Every road trip, it was getting suggested at least.
If you get traded tomorrow, if knock on wood that doesn't happen, but if you were to get traded tomorrow and could bring one guy with you, who would you bring?
Carey Price. This guy gives you you have a chance to win. It doesn't matter how good everyone plays around him. He's such a competitive guy. He puts so much work into his craft, and in the big moments is when he plays his best. And I think that's what you're looking for in a teammate.
Yeah. The toughest position in the game, take the best there is. That's pretty sound logic to me. Yeah. I've heard you talk about pranking guys, and that the best guys to prank are the guys who give the most emotion or get irritated by it the most. So which guy is the most upset about getting pranked?
So the best one we ever had around Montreal was Torrey Mitchell. This guy was one of the funniest teammates I've ever had. But so me, Torrey Mitchell, and Paul Byron were actually all getting pranked at the same time. Couldn't figure out who was doing it. It turned out to be a few different guys, but we blamed Andrew Shaw. So we decided to get Shawzy back. Very, very emotional guy, hothead. So we kind of knew it would have the reaction. So we asked our trainers to put two of those, I don't know, those massive popcorn bags that you get at sporting events, like the huge ones that they dump in there. He said, put 2 of those each in our cars. So we had 6 of those things, and we took the next day at practice. We filled up his car from floor to the roof. It was just full of popcorn, and it sat there for the entire practice. He was actually the last guy out of the ring, so he came out at the end. Obviously, he opens the door, popcorn comes out, he's pissed. But what we didn't think of is there's a ton of butter on those popcorn. So he had to take his car in for a little bit of a cleaning, and he was pretty upset with us. But I still get a good kick out of it. I think if anyone ever did that to me, I would laugh. But he made sure to get us back. Don't worry.
What did he do to get you back?
Oh, what did he do? It lasted until he was traded. This guy was just thinking about ways to get us back. It wasn't one big prank. It was like little things. And after we did that to him, we couldn't really be mad. So we just kind of took it.
Man, hockey player pranks. There's some good ones out there. Your final one. I know you're a golfer. So let's say tomorrow you're in a 2-person scramble and you can take any said golfer with you. I assume it's Tiger Woods, but maybe I'm wrong.
Give me Tiger. First of all, whoever we're playing, they're screwed. You can't play with Tiger Woods and play well. For me, there's no pressure. I got Tiger Woods as my partner. So if we lose, it's on him.
Well, I appreciate you doing this for me. It's been a lot of fun. All the best. Hopefully you guys get back playing here, sooner than later. I hope for an all-Canadian division, just at least for 1 year. Hell, that'd be a lot of fun. But regardless, all the best here in the future, big fella, and I appreciate you hopping on.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Apologize to all your viewers for or listeners for the ding. But other than that, hope they enjoy it.
Have a great day. Hey folks, thanks again for joining us today. If you just stumbled on the show and like what you hear, please click subscribe. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday, a new guest will be sitting down to share their story. The Sean Newman Podcast is available for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you find your podcast fix. Until next time.